Now, Danny, this career you had, the accolades, you had quite an interesting off season going into 2024. It was almost like a slap in the face, reality check. Like, oh shit, this could end at some point. Like we've had those
Yeah.
conversations. I said it's not gonna end. It's not ending, but this is the
Mm.
start of the feeling that could come. Right.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think you've kind of just gone about your business like you did in your career, like make it work, prepare as hard as you can. You haven't really spoken about what was it like, and walk us through ending of a contract and going into a contract cycle, because I don't think the listener, the casual fan, the core fan understands like how cutthroat it can be.
Yeah, so at the end of my Cube contract, so Cube employed me to try and win a World Cup overall, for example. So they're paying me money for that, and that's what they want. They want to be at the sharp end. And I'll be honest, I didn't perform to what they probably wanted. I got one podium, I had a second place at Leogang, numerous sixth place finishes. Like in my second year with the team, I was racing in snowshoe. Sophia had just given birth to Darcy. Darcy was really sick. I raced, I got sixth place, knowing that my wife and newborn baby at home, like, it was like touch and go at some point. She was in intensive care. And I had a flight booked after the race that night to get myself home to be with my family. Therefore missing Monset and the weekend after. But yeah, I got sixth place there, so I was doing my utmost. I knew I was potentially going to miss the birth of my second daughter when I got on the plane to go. I was so committed to the team, and anybody not in their right mind, but anybody could say, I'm not going to make it this weekend because Sophia is due. But no, I went, knew I was going to go and try and do my job. But yeah, at the end of my contract, they didn't want to carry on. They told me I had a talk with them at the last race in the airport before we were about to go all our separate ways. And it wasn't, no, this is over. It was, I'm going to go away and think about it. But they said, right, we're done. We're not exercising your option year. So at this point, I had nothing. And yeah, then there wasn't really anything. Nobody was knocking at the door because it hadn't been a fantastic couple of years. So I decided to go with Mark coming, which was Continental Nuke Proof at the time. So I went out to New Zealand, had a Nuke Proof. It was in funny times, and then like with Nuke Proof went away. Then we sort of got wind that maybe Nuke Proof are coming back. They didn't end up coming back. So then again, I was actually over in Ireland at the time with Mark and Jen and Chris, and we got the news that Nuke Proof was done while I was there, while we were over there to sort a deal out for the coming season. And I was like, okay, if that's not going to go, what are our options? And we didn't really have any at the time. So I was like, well, GT have just pulled back from their factory program. I think they would potentially be interested in going racing. So we reached out to GT. There was an offer there, an option. And then we got wind again that Nuke Proof were potentially going to come back. And Mark, being the loyal guy that he is, was like, okay, we'll take your word and we'll hold off from this GT deal. Nuke Proof never ended up coming back, so we had to go back to GT, and we got a frame deal, effectively. So then at this point, I'm like, oh, this is going to be crazy. I don't... It was a really hard few months, and like, I'm not going to lie, like, I was like, why am I even doing this? I'm sat in the cold garage here, and it's raining, snowing outside, and I'm on the watt bike doing all these different intervals, and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing it. Like, there was this one, I had to do like this threshold test, and I was given a number that I had to try and sustain or average through 12 minutes, and at the end of it I was nowhere near, and I got really upset and come in the house and I was like, yeah, in a real bad place, and it was horrible, but I managed to chug on through and we got racing. But yeah, last season was really challenging. Like, Mark did his utmost to make it the best that he could, and I tried my hardest and we did what we could, but like, I didn't get one. There wasn't one paycheck from the team. The only way it was possible for me to do it was because I'd made really good money over the past 6 years, we'll say, with Cube and Madison. So that enabled me to have a year where I sort of had to invest in myself. But like, on that, I just moved house. We were doing a full renovation of a house, and all of this stuff falls on my lap at this time. So it's really hard. And my partners that I've been with for a long time stuck by me with Monster and 510 and Oakley and Crank Brothers. And those guys stayed with me, and it was a hard season. We started on the wrong size bike because I didn't even get a chance to go abroad for good weather riding or testing, apart from the month that I'd done in New Zealand, but that was on a nuke proof. But it was still bike time.
What month? Yeah, what? So how
I think I
close
got on the
to
GT
season?
in March.
In March 2024.
I think that's what it was. I would have to go back and double check, but it was like...
And when did you even get this deal signed? Like, when did you even... You barely knew it was over the line till late as well, right?
In all fairness, there wasn't really a contract signed. It was just like, let's do what we can. Because if you go away, you're not coming back. Like, if I said, right, well, I'm not going to race because I haven't got a team that I think's worthy, or nobody's going to pay me. If I didn't turn up, in the current way that the downhill World Cup or World Series or whatever you want to call it is, I potentially wouldn't be going racing next year. Well, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have had a 4th place at the World Champs, or I wouldn't have had this result and that result. So I had to stay in it, or it was all done. So yeah, I did my testing. I had maybe one weekend at Fort William. I say testing. It wasn't really testing. It was just FaceTime with my mechanic, Dale, who, yeah, was brilliant all season. We didn't have one mechanical when it mattered ever. And Dale did it for next to nothing as well. And yeah, Mark put together a program that enabled me to go racing, and that's it. And he did a really good job, and I really appreciate everything he did. And yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I can see how much everyone put in to get you to the races and how much effort you put in. But we can't gloss over how cutthroat being a pro sportsman is in downhill.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this pedigree. Yes, you didn't have like the best year, but you got 6 at snowshoe under those circumstances. You had some good results. Like, a person that was up and coming and younger and got those results, they probably had a ride going into this year. You just kind of, because of your pedigree, had a really good salary, and it's well deserved. And then when everyone starts dilling up their budget, they're like, okay, we can afford this rider, we can afford this rider. Maybe we don't even speak to Danny because we know we can't afford him. You know, and then
like
it got to the point.
Enemy,
it's just victim of your own success. And then you get to the
exactly.
point where, hey, mate, like, I would probably ride for less if someone would phone me or the emails would come in. Like, what was it like emotionally, like, just not having a deal? Like, before you even got to Mark Cummins and this Continental nuke-proof then GT deal. Like, what was that like?
Well, to be fair, I always knew that Mark was going to do something. But I went everywhere, and like, before I said to Mark, let's go, let's do this, obviously I was looking around the pits, because I was like, I say around the pits, around through my WhatsApp contacts, like trying I was reaching out to all of the best teams, because if I'm going to do this for free, I want to be on the best program that I can be on. But there was just no space anywhere. Like Laurent at Specialized, I was like, look, I'll do it for free. And like they're like, obviously like their pits, their tent, everything is ready just for their guys. But there was no space nowhere. And not that I went with Mark for that reason. That's not what I'm saying. Because we put a good program together, and yeah, I missed one final, which isn't ideal, but I had some really good results for like the staff on the team. You had Mark, who was the team manager. Then I had my mechanic, and then there was nobody on the track helping us. There's no physio, there's nothing. And like, for me, it was good because I learned that what you do actually need to be putting it up there every weekend. And it's like, you need to have all of these people, like line spotters. So you have, like I said earlier, you have 2 hours practice where you can really, really work on your lines. 2 hours isn't a lot of time. And with the amount of riders that we've had at the World Cups these past few years, 2 hours is not a lot of time when there's a queue at the bottom in Leger for 45 minutes. So you're getting no practice. And I'm one, I like to do full runs, and as everybody knows, and be the first guy on the track and all this yada yada yada. Once I get going, I do need to be more mature in my ways of learning the lines. I like to just get going, and I just love riding, so I hate stopping and pushing back up. But yeah, so that was something that I was thinking, like, yeah, these people on the track are really helpful, and I haven't got anyone.
Yeah, it's probably quite tough, sort of doubting that you need it, you know? There's one thing, like when we were on Giant, we would have Oscar at some races and not, and we'd had good results both ways, right? It kind of makes you realize. But when it's got to the level it is now, and some teams have more than one person, and as you said, the times that you don't have enough time. It's one thing if you have all day to practice. It's more about how much your body can physically take versus learning the track. Now it's like flipped on its head. So I remember speaking to Leger a little bit about that. And I was like, yeah, dude, if you're doubting that you need someone on the track, that's enough to influence your result, whether you're on the right line or not. So maybe invest in getting some help there, because shit, it's tough when you see everyone else has it. And even Greg spoke about, like, even when he was injured and he was watching from the side, he's like, shit, guys on the wrong line, but still going quick. But when you're riding, you're like, you're doubting it. You're doubting yourself. You're just constantly doubting if you're on the right line. But a committed wrong line is often as quick as a non-committed right line. And I'm just coming back to, like, it's such a head game, especially now at the pointy end of the field. So it's factually, you had way less support out there.
Yeah. You effectively, like, in an ideal world, say you've got 6 proper sections on the track. You need a person in each one. Like, it's going to be very hard because it's a lot of people, but like, sometimes if you have 1 or 2 guys on the track and they stand together, which, like, I see quite often, 2 guys standing together, I'm like, well, you're not really maximizing what you can both be doing. But that's one section, and you ask them about the next section and they don't know. But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, but I mean, with the condensed practice schedule and having juniors there, it's just forced the teams to up the staff contingent for sure, and everyone's looking for those like little gains. But then there's races where you feel good on the track and you're not even listening to your line coach. It's like, how funny is the sport?
Yeah. Confidence is a big thing. If you have confidence, you can ride that wave.
Where do you think it comes from? Like, how do you define that?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because you shouldn't really take confidence from race results, because if you have bad race results, if you have a bucket full of confidence from winning races and you don't win a couple races and that bucket is empty, you have no confidence. But it's something that is inherent. It's just in us. When you win a race, whatever race it might be, you get that bit of energy in you and you're like, yeah, check me out. And it's like after World Champs this year, like I knew that I can do it, you know, I went to Ludenville and was riding well, and it rained, but yeah, so that it's hard. You need to. Yeah, I don't even know the answer. It's too deep for me. I can't think that far, that much.
It's too deep for me. That's what I love about you, man. You just get on and do it. I heard a statement, and I don't think it's too deep for you. Confidence comes from demonstrated practice. Now, I think it can take a season to gain all the confidence. It can take that one moment to bust your confidence. And you're right. You can't
Yeah.
take it from results. You have to take it from the process. But winning races certainly adds to the momentum. I think momentum is a good word, you know. You're on this momentum train. Let's go. Get me to
Yeah.
the next race. I'll win again. Didn't you win a few races in a row? 3?
Yeah. Well, no, well,
So that's like
4.
momentum, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like 3
4.
World Cups and
Oh,
World Champs.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's a great run. That's really, really cool. Yeah, it's interesting. As much as people say it shouldn't come from race results, they should need help. I'd rather have good race results and have a little bit of fake confidence and a boost that way. Yeah, it's super interesting. But
Well, you can
I think
walk around with your chest puffed up like I'm the guy here, like, and when you walk around oozing that confidence, you're a hard man to beat.